Good morning, Tracy Brown here, and it's early and we're just going to get cracking and get started because I feel like we've had a lot to cover this week in our series around intuitive eating and the different kinds of situations and spectrums of people you're going to be working with. I apologize, my poor little dog is coughing in the background. I hate to kick him out. He likes to hang out with me, so hopefully he'll calm down. So if I hop off here, it's because he's in a fit of coughing, or if I get up and leave, that's what's happening. So anyway, so this week we've talked a lot about just the fears that start to come up, and I want to remind you all that probably, remember, when we start anything new, the first couple sessions are exciting, right? We're excited we have hope, we have some, hope for some being more okay in our bodies. Our clients want to feel more comfortable in their own skins. For example, I just want to read you the goals of a client I started working with yesterday, a new client, and her case might be in a case study coming up. We'll see how that goes. But her goals are eat with others and not feel like it's bingey. She calls it treats, but we talked about maybe calling it play food, but whatever she wants to label it. Be able to eat a amount of something, a portion of something, and I'm sharing all this with you for a reason in a second. Be able to eat all these things and not feel like she has to eat it all. So go to, let's say she goes out to eat and has a sundae or have a brownie or something, and not feel like, okay, now I want to eat 50 more. Feel confident in her skin and have a healthy, and she described it in a longer way, but essentially a thriving, a healthy relationship and a thriving relationship with food. So it's not just like she wanted to eat healthy. She wants that, but really she wants it to be, again, the way I'm looking down to try to word this accurately, because it was a big long paragraph that she was talking about, but be able to eat in a way she feels healthy, but be able to do it in a very it feels good kind of way. It doesn't feel strained, it doesn't feel whatever. So she wanted those things, and I even got a chance to ask her a little more deeply and how come she wanted those things. And she didn't mention having a smaller body size. Does she want to lose weight? Yes, because that's it back in her assessment. But she's kind of connected to the idea like these things will bring her more fruit in her life in terms of some of the things she wants to be doing. And so that's her goal. I'm sharing the goals when you're when you've had a first session, and that's why I'm always, when I say always, I think when I work with dietitians and coaches, it is always I'm saying how these first two sessions are so important, because then you'll have an idea what's coming up and what things you might be running into. Because remember, after the first couple sessions have worn off and they aren't magically feeling perfect and fixed, the newness is going to wear off, and their fears without all the containment of the dieting are going to start creeping back in, and they're going to be looking for a result, which is weight loss for most people. And so that's where intuitive eating with the chronic dieter, and I want you to know what to expect, because what's going to happen probably within that 4 to 8 week time period. The newness is going to wear off, and the desire for like some relief, like, okay, I don't feel better in my skin, what's going on? And that's where we need a couple things with these clients, is really making sure that you are going through their food to give them some mastery and some competence around their eating. So they don't have to feel like, oh, I love my body in the first, let's say, month or 2 months. But it's, hey, let's work on this one aspect. So you are really clear, and I'm really clear that you know your hunger fullness signals, that you know where you've got some faux permission to eat. Like, it's a lot of clients like, okay, I'm gonna eat the Sundays, but they eat it once and they feel good about that. But if they want to do it again, or the next day, or twice in the same day, then they don't feel good about that, and they're going to go back to clamping down like, this is too much, it's out of control. You really got to walk through the steps of like, what is it you really want to eat? And what would happen if you had two bowls of ice cream in a day? Oh, I'd gain weight. Well, how is it, you're going to gain weight? And that's where you work through some nutrition education. I know if you're not doing some of that as a coach, let's say, I know there's some people in here who aren't dietitians. A lot of people in here aren't dietitians. It's really important that you look at, what is, you can still, without having to like dig through like nutrition education or, what is a protein, carb, and fat, that some dietitians might do and break it down, really break the food down to what it is, the components, and challenge that magical thinking that's from diet culture. You can, as a coach, definitely say like, well, what do you believe is more magical around ice cream that is any different than your yogurt with added sugar? You could say things like that. I think that's fine, because you're still helping people see like the dissonance, like the magical thinking of diet culture, that like one food is more magical than the other to cause weight gain and others can't cause that, and all that kind of stuff. You want to help them see like the distortion of what all the worry is like, and the disconnection that all the worry is causing them. You want them to be able to see that and how that causes them disconnection from their bodies. Super important with your people that come in with chronic dieting. Because, and again, your chronic dieters might come in with eating enough food. Maybe they just came off a diet and they're in a period of like trying to eat a little bit more normally because they read about the book, they heard about you, and they're trying because they're trying to do the principles, but most people are coming in still being really careful eaters. You need to get on top of that really quickly and help them normalize their food. So that might mean, like Caroline was talking about yesterday, the gentle structure of making sure they're eating enough. If they're skipping breakfast, make sure they're just getting regular meals in, or challenge them to be curious, like, well, what would that be like? And what do you think would happen with those feelings of out of control you have in the evening? It's really, we've got to build a base. People are not going to feel comfortable or confident and let go of the desire to run back to a diet if they don't feel competent about something. And we need to be able to do that with the full permission to eat, the making sure they're eating enough, and challenge them in those distortions with food. We've got to do that really early. Because even if people don't think they have that, if you even got one day of looking at their food, you could see it. You could see where there's some careful eating, there's some holding back, and that's something that we can jump on and help them with. So by the time you've kind of cleaned some of that, maybe imbalances in their eating up. When I say imbalances, not like, perfectly balanced plates. It's the imbalance of not eating enough and having days where they're eating enough and days where they're deprivation-driven eating. That stuff feels really chaotic and scary, and it makes them not trust the process. So we really want to help them clean that up as quickly as possible so they start to get some relief, start to get some peace, and then it's a little easier to work with some of the body image pieces. And of course, those of you who have taken my non-diet counseling skills know that these are the places where then you're starting to challenge the I feel fat. And I feel fat always means I feel uncomfortable. What's really going on? And, be able to break that down. So, I hope this little video is helpful just to jump in. It's like when you get people who have, like, they want to lose weight, but they want to have peace. We're addressing all that at the same time, but sometimes, so you don't lose them, not lose them like they thought it was a terrible experience. You want to be able, to for sure have something. And remember, like that sometimes you're some people's first stop. So they might not stick with you for a long time, but they may go on, you were like the first seed and everybody else is watering that seed. Or maybe you're somebody who's come from other dietitians or coaches or something and you're watering the seeds already planted. So, we don't ever know exactly what position we're going to be in when people come to see us. But we want to do the best we can, and hopefully we are their last stop. Hopefully. And that can happen a lot, especially the more confident and comfortable and practiced you get, that's more likely to be the case. But whatever happens, really be clear about like trying to, like, yeah, I hear you that like you want to lose weight, and of course you do. We've been indoctrinated to want to lose weight. It's in our cells because probably our mothers worried about this. So it's been passed on and it could stop with you. And I'm wondering, you start asking questions. Well, what would that be like if you worried less? What might your food look like? What might your life look like? Just start playing around and asking questions, because they have those desires. Again, those of you taking my course know that I have people do a lot of pro-con list and try to understand what they're getting from, let's say on their pro-con list, they're getting like the desire to be, they think that thinner is more attractive. Of course, they think that because we're taught to think that. But if you want to break it down more deeply, it's like, well, where do they think they didn't get enough attraction from people? And who do they want to attract? Because if you take off the IVE off the word attractive, it's attract. Okay, what do you want to attract with your body? Is it love? Is it connection? Is it peace? Is it friendship? What is it you're wanting? Because if you get clear about that, you might find that there's a whole lot of other ways to get it, besides having to starve yourself and then get on this restrict binge cycle. So that's just one intervention you can do really quickly in the first couple of weeks to keep people get people more awake and more interested in finding the truth. If the people can be interested in finding the truth, they're more willing to hang out in the discomfort longer, and you build a relationship. So, on the pro-con list, it's going to be more than just, I feel like if I got thinner, I'd be more attractive. There's going to be other issues, on there that you want to be able to break down. So I hope this video was helpful. This stuff takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of practice to practice with other people, with your clients. So I understand. I've been there. That it makes us nervous. We are in the muck. It's almost like when we do this work, you have to imagine that, we're in if anybody's seen The Princess Bride, you've seen that movie, right? Where it's like they're in that weird forest where they sink in mud and there's like weird monsters in the shadows. That's what that feels like walking through this process with our clients. And we can't be kind of like on our tightrope above it. We got to be down in the muck with them. So it's going to feel uncomfortable sometimes. We're going to feel nervous. We're going to feel joyful. We're going to feel sad. But if we're kind of locking arms with our clients, versus being up here talking down at them. Not that you're all doing that. I know you're not. But there's this level of can I be in that with them? They're more likely to keep having the faith to walk forward because they're not alone. So if a client, I just want to say one last thing. If a client ever says, but I want to lose weight, of course, use your flow sheet that I sent out yesterday. It's on in some of the links below. I'll put that below again. But if they say that, yeah, given your history and everything you told me and living in this culture, I imagine so. That that's a pretty standard thing to want. And I want to know more particularly for you, what do you think is going to happen if you do? What will you get? Tell me more. And start with that. And that might be your whole session. That's good. All right, well, thank you all so much for watching. If this was helpful, please leave a comment below about maybe some specific things you're struggling with. Maybe we can do that in a future video. I'm here to help because I've been there. I have a lot of experience, and I'm really passionate about there aren't enough workers for the amount of people who need the help. So the more confident you feel, the more you're going to be able to confidently speak up and out about what's possible. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.